Coach, Texas A&M 0-4. You got to expect kind of a wounded animal coming in here tomorrow.
Well, I think when you go back and look at, I mean, they haven't had their full complement of players, and I would think tomorrow. I mean, we don't know totally yet if they got the point guard back, but even with that, I think Billy Kennedy's done a great job putting in position because they've just had some different things that have happened to them that they've had to deal with throughout this early part of this schedule, but. Long way to go, and again, a team that we know that a couple weeks ago they were ranked 4th in the country, and a team that went in early in the year and took care of West Virginia, who's now I think number 2 in the country, and so it's there, and we're only 4 games in the conference play, and we have great respect for what they do and how they do it, and we do know that they're a heavy inside-oriented team. It's going to be both teams trying to establish an inside game, and it'll be a very physical game, no question about it. But we really, and I'll keep saying it, we've got to continue to get better. We've got, for us to be the team we want to be, we've got to get more from guys from the bench. We've got to get more consistency from a couple of our starters. And we've got to hope that Grant and Admiral and Bowden and those guys themselves too can take it to another level.
Can it be kind of unsettling when you watch a team on film and you know that you're not really looking at an 0-4 SEC team, that you're looking at a team that could start playing a lot better in a second?
Well, I think anybody that understands basketball sees that. I do. I think that you look around, I mean, early conference play, you'll see some teams that are surprised, some teams that you thought were going to be terrific, and they've gotten off to a slow start, but that's why you play the whole year. I mean, we're just getting started in conference play, but I think anybody that knows basketball knows that if you've got a team that's been ranked number 4 in the country, they're capable of going on a run and winning the rest of the games. I think anybody can figure that out, and I think our guys understand that. I think they now are starting to understand that every night conference play, and they should have already known it, but you like to think that they realize that every night's going to be a battle.
Are you happy with the second half performances or more concerned with the first half performances?
No, I think it's basketball. I think that you've got to always give credit to the other team too. I like for us to play a perfect game from start to finish. I've never coached one, and as much as I like to say that I haven't. And but throughout the game, that's why you play 40 minutes. I think you go back and look at sports in general. I mean, you saw the national championship game in football. 2 different halves, but that's why you play 60 minutes in football, and you play 40 minutes in basketball, and play 9 innings or more, and whatever it takes. I mean, it's just the ebbs and flows of the game, and what I'm glad to see that our guys, they seem to maintain their poise, and we've played enough games and we've been in enough situations that we should be able now to know how to understand that it is a 40-minute game.
Did you feel like Grant Williams' game against Vanderbilt was his best game in a Tennessee uniform?
Yeah, in a lot of ways I do, because obviously offensively he had his best game ever, but both the last 2 games, I would say for certain, I think Admiral Schofield, I would say that about him. I mean, I thought he was played his best game by far in the Kentucky game, got in foul trouble against Vandy in the first half and had to sit a while, but just from a mentality standpoint, I think both of them have done that. Jordan Bowden came back. You look at the stat sheet in the first half at Vanderbilt, I think across the board, I think Bowden, Fulkerson, and Alexander had zeros across the board. And that means that there was a lot placed on Grant, a lot placed on Admiral in the first half. And our guards, too, we need those guys to be more consistent. We look at all of them as being starters, and they got to give a starter minutes, whether they start or come off the bench.
Coach, the way Grant and Admiral have played these last 2 games, is that kind of what you envisioned when you made the move to put Admiral to 3 and get them on the floor together?
Yeah, but you go back, Admiral plays, he'll move inside some too, which, gives us a good lineup because he can really stretch it out. I mean, he can, there's a whole lot of things you can do different when he's playing what I guess people would call this, the stretch 4 spot. But really what we need is Alexander and Fulkerson and Walker. We need those guys giving Grant Williams some rest, because when you can tell when he gets tired, he settles, and so we need those guys to give us more than what they're giving us up to this point.
Do you think it's tough for teams to double on Grant Williams because you've got quality shooters to help?
Well, we think we got really good shooters, especially when we play inside out like that. And what's, I think, tough about, I mean, it's not easy to play out of a double team, but Grant can pass out of it, and he wants to pass out of it more than he wants to try to do anything with it. Which you know, we've tried to get him to do his work early, get it in a deeper position, and go to work quicker. And he's done that the last 2 games. But when he does get double teamed, he wants to make the pass. He really does. And our shooters, you go back to the Kentucky game here, we had a couple, you know, swing, what we call them, a couple perimeter passes to get a great look at it. And we do think that our shooters are capable of making a high percentage of those.
You mentioned Admiral's mentality, but what's been different with his mentality the past couple games?
I don't know. That's a good point. I just think he's gone about it in a different way, where I think, honestly, in some ways, he's thought more about trying to get his teammates ready. I think. I don't know. That's a good question. I just maybe should ask him that question. I can just tell that he's had a, and I've told him I'm reluctant to tell him that, because most of the time when I start complimenting guys, they go backwards. As much as you like to do that, most guys I've realized on this team, they don't respond that well. So you have to sometimes hold back and keep pushing, keep driving, which we're going to do anyway. But the fact is, again, that's a good question to ask him.
Is it concerning at all that you don't know who that third scoring option is going to be, night in and night out? Does that benefit y'all, or is that more concerning?
Well, again, it's consistency. I think all coaches want consistency. I don't think there's any question. And there's no doubt when teams game plan for us or game planning for Grant, for Admiral, and for Bowden probably. And you know, so Bowden's in a little different role, where a year ago he was probably looked upon as the 5th option. I think they look at our guards and they're like, you know, these guys are capable of having big nights, but we can't let them. And so that's where I think those guys have to work hard at understanding where they can help us. And it goes back defensively. We've got to be able to defend longer, harder. You go back to the Vanderbilt game, we were a little bit better. I mean, you got to give them credit, because they were making shots, executing their offense to perfection, and we didn't do much to really stop it. Second half, I thought we were playing a little bit harder defensively, and that helped us, and it helped us get out in the open court a little bit. But consistency, that's what we're looking for, and guys getting better, and hopefully we can get that done.
Texas. James Daniel, what can you say about the way he's changed his game and kind of be a facilitator?
Well, it is. I think that's really impressive. You go from a guy that was a high volume shooter that led the nation in scoring at Howard, to coming in where right now, his assist to turnover ratio is terrific. Defensively, I don't think anyone would have ever thought that would have been a part of his game. He's doing that, and I still don't think he's got it totally figured out. He's a guy that I expect to continue to get better, because he's a smart player, and when he understands his shot selection better and continues to learn what we're doing, I think he can get better.
What are your thoughts on John Fulkerson and his role?
Well, I think he's got to want to play a more expanded role, and again, players decide that. We thought that after Kentucky game that he was really getting back to where he was, but he went backwards in the Vandy game. Too many defensive breakdowns, things that he has to do. There's certain things that he, Kyle Alexander, and Derek Walker have to do for us on the defensive end. They're going to be in a lot of ball screen situations. They're going to be in a lot of help situations that they've got to be consistent there. And we really desperately need those guys to be consistent. And we need those guys to, again, that every night we go out, we can count on them playing hard, aggressive, and playing their role.
Rick, I know this is sort of a silly question, but tomorrow is your 1,000th game as a head coach. What does that mean to you, and what are you the most proud of since you've come to Tennessee?
I didn't know that until yesterday. It just means that God's blessed me with a chance to do this for a long time, worked with some great coaches, had terrific players, and worked at some great universities. And if you ask me what I'm most proud of in Tennessee, it's the fact that I think we've got a program moving in the right direction. I don't think we're anywhere near where we want to be yet. And again, these guys we've got the culture that we want. We're still trying to get the identity we want with our team, and it's got to be consistent. But I've enjoyed my 3 years here, and had a chance to. I love Knoxville. I love the University of Tennessee, and but like I said, I hadn't even thought about that. Tom didn't tell me purposely until I was asked that yesterday during the interview, and I didn't know it. But and it also means I'm getting older.
How long did it take for this place to kind of feel like home to you? I know because you've been, a lot of coaches, it's every few years you're on the move. You were in Austin for so long. How long did it take this place to feel like home?
Well, when I first moved here, I lived in a condo right downtown that I enjoyed. My wife hated it, but it's a minute from here, and I tried to get from there to here in less than a minute, early in the morning when nobody's around. But as we moved into a home where I think she loves it a lot more, I've enjoyed it. But in terms of the people, I think I felt like that from the beginning. I mean, it reminds me a lot of being back in North Carolina. Really, I think just wonderful quality people. Not that Austin didn't have that, because I had great friends there too and enjoyed being there. And the job is really the same job. I mean, it really is. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to go about your business the same way. But I've enjoyed and been able to, I love this community. I think we've got a chance to do some great things in this community to make Knoxville really a great city. And I've really enjoyed getting to do some of the things outside of my job with MOU, Thrive, and Lonsdale, and a lot of other things that I really enjoy. But I just want to see this university be everything that it can be from a basketball standpoint. I want to see, and I think I have an obligation to be a part of the community and hopefully help it in some way.
Thanks, Coach.